Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to When Pigs Fly. I am Patty. I am joined by Tracy and Renee, and this morning we have a special guest today, Bill Kale. And to give you a little background on Bill, and this is one of his many magical gifts he's sharing today, is that Bill assists his clients in activating their divine blueprint using ancient Tibetan singing bowls and Hertz-specific tuning forks. So, with that, we welcome Bill to the show.
Thank you.
So, Bill, let's jump in here. Can you tell us how did you discover this gift? What drew you to it?
The gift. You want to be more
The,
specific?
well, how did you piece together that, okay, I'm helping people activate their divine blueprint? What got
Oh,
you interested in sound therapy to begin with?
well, I was doing another form of work called body electronics prior to coming on to Tibetan singing bowls, and I taught that work for 13 years, and I was one of the instructors. Um, and we that's where actually learned about the divine blueprint because we would people would be taking large amounts of minerals, enzymes, herbs, and then we would go about holding sustained acupressure points for duration of time, 2, 4, 6 hours, and multiple people on a body holding points for that length of time, and then we would watch body parts grow that weren't there an hour and a half before.
Oh, I
It
love
was
that.
wild.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was wild. That was in 1984. So I basically watched singing bowls do similar stuff. Now, I didn't see body parts specifically grow, but I saw deformities. One, you look at the deformity, you look away, you look back, and there is no deformity. So there is that was the wild thing about the singing bowls, that there was no process about it. It just deformed perfect. It was like, wow. And I've seen that for over 16 years in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
All
because
kinds of stuff.
you're restoring it to the natural frequency.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, what the gift of
right.
God is that we all came in with. And every species has it. Horses
Yes.
have it, cats have it, dogs have it, birds have it. We all have a divine blueprint.
Mhm.
So all the bowls and the forks do is activate that blueprint. So it creates space. So then the blueprint infuses back into the cells, into the atoms, and the body restructures. And I had over the years of doing Tibetan bowls, I had 5 people in different states. We didn't talk about this. They all saw the same thing, virtually the same thing. They all said, "Oh yeah, I see the vibrations of the bowls tweaking the strings below the atoms." String theory, and then the body restructures according to those strings being activated. One of those people were a little kid of 8 years old. He saw the same thing. That was pretty cool. And that he was where was that? That was in Arizona. And it's amazing. It's like I think about that, and I'm right back there. So a lot of what I know and talk about is what I've directly seen, not heard about, but specifically witnessed and was there watching it happen. You know, so interesting. So once we activate our blueprint, I mean that's who we really are.
Mhm.
Without any pain, without any anxiety, without any story, you know, because the blueprint lays down at conception, and
Mhm.
then DNA rolls out from there. But the DNA and the blueprint are not the same;
Right.
they are separate. The blueprint does in fact interface with the DNA, of course, but they're not the same. Okay,
Interesting. So
so
interesting. So
did I
wait,
answer your
Bill,
question?
Yes,
yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
when you're doing that, Bill, do you,
Wait,
because I'm
wait,
sure
when I'm doing what?
when you're doing your bowls and you're playing the
Okay.
bowls and you're doing the whole thing, and do you actually have okay, somebody comes to you or you're doing it
Yeah.
on phone or whatever. You're drawn to a particular bowl, or do you use like is there
Oh
one
yeah. Well, I have
like
100.
oh, wow. So you're actually drawn to that bowl you're not really exactly sure what you're going to be doing for that person, or do you sort of get this download and then you're
Okay,
playing?
let's say, okay, well, we'll just run a scenario. So you say, Bill, I want to work on blah blah blah, and then I just kind of start. I basically look above like this, and I just kind of see, what comes across like my screen.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I'll either see as something like maybe kind of like it's a combination of feeling and seeing words or pictures, or I'll get like an impression that comes in, and then I'll talk about that and or uh, you know, kind of sort it out a little bit and maybe flesh it out and give it some dimension and talk about that and then we'll go about and dissolve whatever the blockage is, whatever the stuck parts are, because all it has to do is flow. Once it gets flowing, then people can move on with it. You know what I mean? It's just when it coagulates and gets stuck is the problems. That's where those start.
So this is curious to me too, because I love the truth and idea of the divine blueprint. And I notice when I look at people, it's almost as if I go straight to their wholeness,
Okay.
their truth, their being.
Yeah.
And when I get too into the story, it messes me up. It's like
Okay.
I get stuck in the gunk. So that was a fascinating question. I know for
Stuck
me,
in
it's
the gunk. That's
stuck in
good.
the gunk.
It's
Yeah,
accurate, isn't it? Yeah.
right.
It's like, yeah, your story is sticky. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Right.
So it's almost as if I am like, don't show me that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to
Uh-huh.
hear it. I go straight to wholeness. And that's it, like this. I just love your process. And I love that you actually brought in the DNA, because we're talking kind of a etheric.
Well, it changes. The
Yeah.
the DNA, it's very fluid. It changes, and it gets interfaced. The blueprint changes it. I mean, instantly. Really. I mean, it really does. Good
Yes.
example. I guess I want to tell this story. I don't know why, but year one, because I break my time up into the years I've been with doing bulls, because it's over 16 years now. And year one was a woman who had stage 4 breast cancer, and she rolls in, bald and with a scarf on her head from chemo and radiation. And I did 2 sessions with her, and then a talk therapy session. And that cancer was, I mean, I went on the road for a month and a half, came back thinking she died, and said, well, what happened to Annie? And it was like, well, she went and got a PET scan, not one cancer cell in her body. I went, wow. She did elect to have a double mastectomy, but there was no and when, on a biopsy, there was no cancer, zero. But she knew that before she had the mastectomy.
So do you think that, because I believe that our truth, our divine will, and technology or methods like Tibetan bowl sound frequency, it almost, this isn't the right way to say it, but it bypasses our human belief system and mind. But do you believe there's still an element of that human component that the human has to believe or be
No, they
willing
don't
to
have to believe.
believe?
They don't
Okay.
have to believe. I've taken time to figure that out. All I have to say, this is what I tell people: just let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. You don't have to believe it, but
Yeah.
just be open to it. Now, if you're closed to it, you're going to diminish your return. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. But if you just stay open to it and just go, well, I don't know what's going to happen, and let's just see what happens. The wildest wild stuff happens with these things. I'm telling you. It's never boring. Never. And I
Yeah.
never wake up in the morning going, damn, I got to go do a session. Never.
Right.
No, it's always like, and what's the adventure going to be today? It's going to be really good, because it always is. And it isn't like I control it. I don't. I just show up, you know. It is, and that's what I love. I mean, I was basically trained as a therapist, my whole, adult working life. And it's like, this isn't about me. And you were asking, does it have to interface with our humanness? Well, that's what I love about the sound. And, because sound is a form of light. So it's particles and waves.
Mhm.
Okay. So it goes in, and if it's particles, then it can break up, issues. And the wave just goes and lays down, formats in the new better them, which is really the old better them before they had issues, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like what I'm seeing, like, okay, I'm doing it right now. So I'm watching the screen. I'm watching my screen right now, and it's like the particles go in and they dissolve and disintegrate the coagulations. Okay, because those coagulations are not that person. They're a result of maybe belief systems or whatever they told themselves to be true at the time of a painful event. So the sound particles, or the particles part of the sound, goes in and dissolves that and dissipates it, and then the wave comes through that ride on the blueprint and lays it down for the God structure to be in place, the divine structure to be in place. Okay, does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It does, and
Yeah,
sorry,
it
this is
does.
so fascinating to me, but do you find and see what I've been seeing lately is it's hard for me to put words on these concepts, that I find the harmonics available to us, the universal harmonics from the sun, just from the energy grids.
It's been kicking our ass. I mean, come on, you know?
But in a good way, it's almost like
Yeah,
it was muffling the sounds of what the bulls would create. And now I feel like they're
I'd agree.
clearer and they're just so more fine-tuned, which is so makes what you do so much more powerful and profound. Are you noticing that at all?
No, no, I think what the sun is doing is pushing out a lot of old programming, a lot of old patterns that people have been holding, and bringing them up to the surface. I think who do you know that isn't saying they're tired? They're exhausted.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
like, I mean, they're like, they don't even know how they get up and function during the day. I mean, for a day, it's like everyone's just dragging,
Yeah.
But I think they're just processing so much stuff. And when those solar flares hit, man, I mean, I've taken 2 naps in a day. It's like,
Yeah.
what is the deal? But I just knocked me out.
Yeah.
And
It's
multiple
purging.
people. I mean, yeah, it's
It's
right.
a purging
That's
energy.
exactly right.
Yeah. It's a purging, and then the universe loves a void. It's a purging and then a filling with new light that's
Right.
literally happening. And one of the things that I love about sound healing, Bill, is you take the human mind out of the game.
Right.
Anything with
Right.
words or emotions where they can establish a meaning to it, then the head starts going. I call it the noodle is getting in the way. It's processing. Whereas
Or a
in,
structure around it,
yeah,
some kind of this means that, that means this. No, it doesn't
ex
necessarily, you know.
exactly. They can
Right.
just receive that
Well, the
vibration.
other thing, that a lot of people don't talk about sound healing is that when I talked about this, the first 3 years I used to say, well, I was stoned out of my mind, with these bowls. And I said that for a lot of years, like, 13, 14 years. And then I was talking to this woman up in Canada. She was 80 some years old. And I was saying the same thing. Well, when I came on to bowls the first 3 years, I was just stoned. And all of a sudden, it's just flash of a concept came into my mind. It was like, no, you were not stoned. You were becoming multidimensional. And those were not words I used at that time at all. You know, and plus I would think that it would be a bit highbrow, say, well, I'm multidimensional. But I try to keep it pretty, humble, and, me out of the equation.
Yeah.
But then I realized that that's exactly what was happening, because we go and so not only you just get out of the way, but you start really experiencing your expandedness in all these dimensions that we exist in, like 8 layers simultaneously, you know, and you can draw from those, you know.
Mhm.
You don't have to take the hits. You can interface with those other lifetimes, those other dimensions. And I mean, when you do that, you only live the magical life. So, why not? You know.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the cool thing about sound healing, besides becoming multidimensional, is it goes right through it goes right underneath the conscious mind. You don't have to process it. You can't process it. It just affects you. And and most of it is on a feeling level, especially with old singing bowls. It's like a lot of these bowls are a minimum 100 to 500 years old, maybe older. You know, and the all the chanting and the prayers and the intentions that the monks used, and said while using these bowls. I mean, because they are metal, they hold that energy,
Mhm.
and it comes out
Yeah.
as you play them. The other thing is that, and I've said this on just about every podcast I've ever done, but I'm just going to say there's three things that happen in a bowl. There's many more, but we'll just whittle it to three. There's a vibration, and I'll demonstrate. There's a vibration, there's a tone, and then there's actual visible light that comes out of these bowls. And I've had that photographed with Cael photography, and which I was really surprised at. I mean, it's a fountain of white light that, poof! I mean, it's big, bigger than the person. And that was a surprise when that happened, when we saw that. But so when those three things show up at one time, that is what activates the blueprint. So here's the vibration. Okay. On top of that sits the tone. And then, of course, visible light would be, you would, if we had the Carillion photography, you'd see the light coming out of this bowl. So those three things activate, without you doing anything, your blueprint. So one of the things I experimented with was intention prior to, having a person do a session. And because intention is really, the human connecting to spirit and creating a pathway for the energy to move into. And so I said, well, let's see what happens if we don't set intention. Well, that was a pleasant experience, but not much really happens. When you do set intention, and with the bowls, I mean, you change your life. I mean, you can change your life.
Hmm.
And I've seen so many people do it over the years. I certainly have. But it's not person specific. It's just the nature of it.
Hmm.
So,
Amazing. I love it. It's happening on a quantum level.
oh, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
and so like like the Darius show, the sound wasn't coming through, but I would say, well, don't worry about it. You'll get it on the quantum. And they were. Everyone, I mean, it was the wildest thing.
I have a
Uh,
question as
Yeah.
far as the bowls go, because you can get, the singing bowls at a lot of stores. The originality of the bowls, how much does that weigh into a process? If I just went to my, you know, store here in town and got one, what's your
Well,
take
all
on that?
bowls are not equal. Okay.
Right.
New bowls you hear, old bowls you feel.
oh,
Okay.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah. All bowls start out as new.
Right.
Okay. At some point in time. So, you can season new bowls with old bowls.
Hmm.
Okay, there is a seasoning aspect that you can do, and you can get bowls on Amazon. You know they're brand new, and they're made from bronze. You know they say they're 14 to 16 different metals. It's not true, and there's been scientific studies of metallurgy with the bowls. It's all bell bronze. Okay. Sometimes they'll take little teeny bits of other various metals and throw them in the crucible as they're making uh, the ingot to, heat up and pound out into a bowl. But not so much. They're really just bronze, just like cymbals, are made of bronze as well. So it is a very strong, metal. Bells, of course, church bells, all bronze, beautiful, last lifetimes, you know. But it's how they're made. Like I've got some new bowls. Let's see, can you see them over here? Let's see if I can. Okay, these bowls here, this one, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
That's a 19-inch bowl. Now that's a new bowl. I was in Nepal when I found that bowl. And I bought that bowl so people could stand in them when I'm doing group sessions, right? Because I do a couple of group sessions a month here in Montana. And when I heard that bowl, I went, what is it? It put a lightning strike through me. I mean, what? I mean, I wouldn't even have cared. Play it, I don't care. Who cares? But when it put a lightning strike through me, I had to rethink what I was thinking. If the bowls are made in the old way, which is every hammer stroke is a prayer, intention, and they're chanting as well as hammering away, then that does something else to the metal. And I was flabbergasted when that happened.
Oh, I love that. Switch bowl has an intelligence and a wisdom and an energy. That's
They are sentient.
yes.
And that's a hard thing for people to,
Yeah.
get onto. It's like, sentient? What? They are.
It
And
is.
they'll teach you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've said, look, people have bought, because I sell bowls too, old ones. And I tell people, look, just sleep, have it close to you when you sleep, because it's going to teach you. Your dreams are going to be so incredible, generally, when you have a bowl close to you.
Wow.
Bill,
And go ahead.
we talked a little about this when I had the one-on-one with you. What's your thought on, so, because I had originally purchased the singing bowls, not the metal. I've got one metal one that seems to be my go-to. And I
Okay.
had gotten,
Crystal
the other
ones?
ones, and took the course with the crystals and all that. But after that, it never really seemed to be my thing. I was like, okay. Could never seem to get back to them. But I will tell you, when I saw you, and you had mentioned on Darius's, I saw you on Darius's, when you picked up your bowl, first of all, you came in with, so anybody that's like listening or whatever, like he comes in with such an array of these beautiful ancient healers. Like I get chills even thinking about it. Like it's amazing who you come in with and just how your energy itself is. Then you picked up that bowl and you showed it, in Darius's, and I was like, oh my God, like you could see the ancient wisdom, and now like just the energy to the bowl itself was so amazing, nothing that I've ever seen before. And when you played it on there, it was like you could just feel it like going through everything. And my thought is like, and I said, I've listened to a ton of the crystal bowl healers. I go to crystal bowl healing thing, and I'm telling you, once I experienced yours, even your recordings are phenomenal. Like they're like nothing I've ever heard before. And do you find, or have you heard that same aspect of it is like comparing, apples to oranges? Like you can't compare the metal bowls to the crystals.
Well, that's my feeling. If I don't get physical, tangible results, I'm not very interested.
Mm-hmm.
Like at all. It's gotta wow me. And I'm a guy, so I have a big BS meter. Okay. And look what I do. I mean, it's a joke, right? It's a joke. But it's like, unless it really does the deal, because everyone's hawking everything out there. You know what I mean? And saying it does this, that, the other. Okay, well, great. Well, then show me. Okay. Now, it isn't like I can say, I'm going to get this result 100 times out of 100, because I'm not. Okay.
Right.
But I do know that people get lined up, and if they don't get in the way, and that's a reasonable caveat. If they don't get in the way, then they're probably going to get something pretty amazing. So
Okay.
crystal bowls in my world are fluff.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying they're not useful for some people because that's just where some people are at. I'm not there. I've never been there.
Mhm.
Okay. They're not interesting to me. Okay. Um, I think they're some of the ones, especially with the handles, very pure sounds, freaking gorgeous. I mean, beautiful. But have I ever seen body parts, change? Have I ever seen deformities restructure? No. Have I ever seen cancer go away? No. Have I ever seen someone's life get better? No. I'm willing. I'm willing to see that stuff. Okay. But I did like 7 weeks of going to I was in Sandpoint, Idaho, and I went to this woman who toned with her voice and played crystal bowls. That was her deal. And it was beautiful, but it really didn't do anything, you know? I mean, it's
Mhm.
pleasant. But see, it isn't like I want to roll in and have someone have, a pleasant time. If they're not transforming, it's not my gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Right.
I've always wanted, to help humanity, make people better, and the way to make them better in my world is dial them into their blueprint.
Mhm.
So because it holds the whole from A to Z is there,
Mhm.
and then beyond that.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. And clearly, like as you were talking, I kept hearing because there's different levels. Like you came in this lifetime with, and I think I said that to you when we were doing the one-on-one, with this tremendous amount of healers. And at a certain point, they were like, okay, look, he's going to wake up at this point and it's going to be like, boom, it's a life-changing thing. And what they're saying is those with the crystal bowls is that aspect of they're not at that vibration where you are. So they're hitting their blueprint or whatever on a different level. And then they slowly evolve from there, where you're like, the meat and potatoes guy, like, here you go, we're going right into that core thing. Here we go. This is what I'm here for. And we're going to blow everything, up and out of what we have known.
Well, and I used to talk like that. Let's blow it up. I saw myself as a kamikaze at one, for a lot of years. But it's like it's more gentle than that. It can be a
Oh,
lot more
absolutely.
gentle than that now, and I don't have to die in the process, which is good.
No.
Since I have a 6-year-old son, um, and a wife that I really love, it's like it's nice being on the planet, quite frankly. Um, it's like when I watch the pain and suffering dissolve and their divinity fill that space, and it sticks, and they don't go back, and they do a 180 right then and there, and they never go back. I mean, it's really gratifying. I mean, that is why I'm here, to see that, day in and day out. I mean, it rocks my world.
Yeah. Yeah. You're guiding them to their unique frequency.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And
yeah,
everyone does have a
yeah,
unique frequency. You got that right.
yeah,
Everyone has a specific note.
yeah. And you're just
Mine's
saying,
A
hey, this
sharp.
is it. I
Uh,
love it. And you say, this is your perfect note.
right.
And it's true. The other really important thing that I want to double down on, Bill, that you just said is that you don't slide backwards. Because that is your true self. And in this ascension process, that is what's happening. We're peeling off all these layers that were kind of a veil
Mhm.
of that. And but what a great way then to get there quantumly, and especially for those I know a lot, self included, that can be impatient and go, hey, get me there fast.
Right.
What do I
Right.
need to do, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
Impatience has been a very strong point of mine as well. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think you said something I'd be curious to know about back to the DNA. I think there's a lot of modalities or techniques that you spoke to it dissolving. So our old patterns and belief systems, I think there's a lot of things that can kind of clear the field and allow people to be clear, but that old patterning is actually still available. I'm seeing that there is new things that are dissolving the energetics of the old patterning, so you cannot go back into hook in. And that's what I think there's some differences between maybe the crystal bowls And then the Tibetan bowls that some, again, it's not as beneficial. It just might not be as complex and in depth, because these are how I see energetics. And it's kind of new in the field of the availability of the dissolving of the old, whatever word you want, beliefs, energetics, patterns. There's so many, we're really saying the same things.
Well,
But
those are all words to the coagulated,
it-
dysfunction, if you will,
right.
Yeah.
DNA mutation or whatever. Again, you can say it 1,000 different ways.
Yeah.
But that's what I find fascinating in what you do. And again, there's nothing, they're all great, techniques and modalities, back to the crystal bowls. And some people, they're not ready. They're not willing at some level, let go of that piece and part of them, even though it might not be part of their divinity. They still like it. They're still playing with it.
Well, and maybe they need a relaxation. Maybe they need just, pink pom-poms. It's okay. It's fine.
Yes.
Renee has some special pom-poms.
I know I sound like a downer on crystal bowls, and I just haven't found a place for them. You know what I mean? Because I'm just not there. I'm not at that level. It's like I want warp drive.
Yeah.
I want faster than warp. I want faster than warp drive. That's what I want. That's because I'm doing my best to help save humanity, and that doesn't come from an ego place. We're gonna save ourselves by being our divine self.
Yeah.
That's how we're gonna do it. Okay. And unless we have something that activates that, we're wasting our time.
Yeah. You're a vessel. You're a vessel to facilitate this. And this, I think, like Renee said, you have a very clear, and the reason you're just not resonating with the crystal bowls, which is fine, because
But when I hear them, I go, wow, they sound so pure. I mean, it isn't like I don't like them.
Right.
I mean, they're beautiful, but they don't, I have not seen physical, tangible results. I have not.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's my measuring stick. If I don't see that, I drop it.
Yeah. Fair enough. I love that.
I will say in the few crystal ones that I've gone to, in person, and I've watched the energy, I will say it does go in and I see it revibrating certain things, and then I'll see something just dissolve within them. So it's definitely doing something for people. But
well, see, I love hearing stories like that, because I really don't want to hold any kind of negativity on those bowls. I don't.
Yeah.
And I love hearing stories that, hey, it really is helping. So then so the next time it comes around, then I'll go to a session like that and give it another shot.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is, for you're at such a different level. It's a different vibrational thing. And for me, experiencing the ones that I have and then experiencing yours was definitely, like I said, night and day, like two different things, which I think because, and I don't mean this to sound arrogant, but I think I've evolved to a point of, okay, I'm ready for this energetic field. Like I wasn't drawn to the crystal ball.
I don't see how that's egotistical at all. It's like developing your palate. Okay. It's the same thing. You know who you are, and who you were last year is not the same who you were 5 years ago. And today you're different than last year. Yes, you're different than 2 days ago, because that is the nature of being on the path. The cool thing about the bowls that I love, I mean, they'll meet you wherever you are. And okay, here's a great example. Like those sound files that Darius played, because didn't have the correct settings on the Zoom. Those were recorded 6 years ago, and I felt that, and I had listened to them in 6 years. So because I got sick of them after recording them, right? And so did my wife. She goes, God, if I hear another bowl, I'm gonna scream. So because whatever. But I felt that energy come up my tailbone, right up my spine, right into the back of my head. I went, holy buckets, this is amazing. I jokingly said, who did this? Because it didn't feel like me. It was like, wow, these are really good. And the sound was fantastic. I mean, they really sounded good.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of bowls, CDs and digital, and I mean, those rock. I mean, it isn't like it isn't about me at all. It's just the bowls and how they interface. I was shocked. It was
Mhm.
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, Renee shared with us your website, and I can tell you that we went on there and watched that one video on there, and I felt that it was so powerful.
Which
The
video? Which
process
one
with
was
the
it?
water, we
Oh yeah.
were
Oh, that's the one I thought. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
wow. I felt that head to toe. It was
Yeah, that was
really
wild, wasn't it? It was like,
yes.
it's wild for me too. I mean, I
Yeah.
just get these intuitions and I do it, and it's like, holy moly, look at that. You just like you said, I am just a conduit. I'm just a vessel. I'm a grain of sand on a beach. I mean, that's is important. The message is important, and quote basically comes from Eckhart Tolle, which I love
Yeah.
that because it totally nails it.
Mhm.
It's not about me at all, but I'll tell you, it sure is fun doing this stuff, man.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, I want to ask, because you had talked earlier on the specific frequencies, and for me personally, what was really interesting is not only did I have this crazy, amazing experience when we did the one-on-one, where this body of fear that was sort of like half laying down within me, like stepped up and like then left, and let me know who she was, which was really nice, and just to feel I don't even know if I could describe it, the vibration, the frequency, the chills, my whole body just went into, and then when it just calmed down, like I really have not, there's such I'll say stillness, calmness to me since then that, clearly has never left and just keeps growing. But what I did find is, I was doing this sound healing because they have said to me, everybody, exactly what you said, everybody has their own frequency, their own sound within, which brings out, when
Well,
you tone
it's a
that.
specific note.
Yes,
You
yes.
actually resonate to a specific note.
Yeah, and
Go
they
ahead.
said you actually can, play that through your voice or
Yeah.
whatever. So what was really interesting to me is I had been doing that because I'd worked with the woman, Courtney Akamo, on doing that, and I did that. And what was really crazy to me was after the session with you, it was totally different. The sound that was coming out was so totally different, and to feel it on that level, like I'd felt it before, but nothing like after working with you. So
Well,
it
you
really,
expanded. See, you expanded, into your body and into your field, really more into your field. Well, at least that's what I'm seeing right now as I'm looking at you.
yeah,
And
yeah,
because of that, you could, like, you had access to 5 more feet all around you, right? Or
mhm,
more, maybe 10 feet all around you. Okay, and you feeling all the way in, all the way out. So it was a communication going back and forth, back and forth. No blockage. Yeah, I'm getting chills like crazy on this. Wow. Mhm.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, isn't that great? You didn't even know that fear piece was in you, that fear, aspect. So she says, "Hi, I'm here," and then poof, out she goes. You
Yeah,
know.
she was like,
And
I don't
was
want to
there
be a piece of this. She actually
right?
said,
But
I want to be a piece of this
was there any
vibration.
work to that? Was there any work to that to let her
No,
go? No.
no,
That's
No.
nothing.
that's the deal. It just comes up, conscious
Yeah.
level. Oh, hi, boom,
Yeah.
out she goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was
You
no
know.
longer resonating with you because you were resonating with your unique frequency.
right.
So it's almost like, oh, too much light. It was like, oh,
Right.
okay. That's too much
Right.
for
Mhm.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
yeah,
on. Hmm.
yeah. I
I
was just
love.
sitting there enjoying what he was playing. I will say, like, there was one, because I love when you said you bought that bowl and people could stand it. I'm like, oh my God. Like
I
when
know.
you had said that, I was like, oh my God, that's
I was like,
cool.
can
Well,
we come and stand in there?
yeah, yes, you can. But I also put one on your head. So you
Oh,
stand in one, you get one on your head, you get this, you know,
wow.
it's
Right.
quite interesting what happens with that one. People shift pretty quick with that.
Well, I can imagine. What was crazy about, because when we did the one-on-one, now mind you, it was a phone session. Okay. So he was playing the bowl, and I swear it felt like, and I think I said this to you there, it felt like he put the bowl on my
On
head.
your head.
Like, and he was,
Mm.
swinging it around, and I had these like rings going, like, oh my God, it was like, I still get chills thinking about that. It was so crazy cool. And to feel, I don't even know how to explain it. It was wild. Like your stuff is just so incredibly powerful. And because I had bought the package that you had sold on Darius's, and to listen to those recordings, like you said, are so powerful that I can't. It's nothing that I can say, okay, I'm gonna listen to it today. Like, wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna listen to it tomorrow. I have to wait. Like it really, they're
Oh no,
so
you got to
powerful.
let it settle.
Yeah. Oh
Because
yeah.
well, here's how I like to talk about it. So think of a French press coffee. Okay, so you've ground the coffee. It's in the pot. You've got water on it, and now you're pressing it. Okay, so you haven't coagulated yet, but the press is on, and it's got to press out, right, the water. So
Mhm.
that so you got to settle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's funny that you brought up that analogy because my guides just brought me that exact analogy of the French press with the energies that we just been purging.
Yeah.
And that it was the literally they showed me the French press and it was so we're all making coffee today, Bill.
Funny. My wife says I like cowboy coffee. I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, Bill, can you and you had played that, so I don't want to, if you could you do another little something for everybody?
Yeah, well, I want to get a tuning fork. Hang on.
Okay.
Yay. Tune us up, Bill.
Yeah. Oh, this stuff is so crazy cool and powerful.
Love it.
These forks, they're the same number. It's 117. So I'm listening to this podcast. This guy by the name, he's a mathematician. His name is Robert Edward Grant, and he had been in the really interesting guy, two math books bestsellers on Amazon for 2 years in a row. Smart as anybody or more, and he's been in the King's Chamber 13 times. In Gaza or no, not Gaza, the big
He's a
pyramid, Giza, that's it. So he said you go into this little ante room that has an inch of space all around you, an inch of space. I instantly became claustrophobic. It was like, oh my God. But he said in that room, you get blasted with 117 hertz, 117 hertz. And it clears everything off of you that isn't you. So, and then you go into the King's Chamber. And then you go out into space, or you go talk to God, or or both. Or you go anywhere you want. And I went, I got to have that fork. So I called my buddy Tracy up, who runs Soza Sounds, and said, Tracy, make me a fork. So she did. And so I've been playing with it. It's the best thing for pain of all the tuning forks. And I got a zillion of them, of all the tuning forks I have. 111 is a really good fork for pain, but the 117 is better. 117 just clears you off. So I'm going to do a double 117 for you three, okay?
Okay.
thank you.
So you're going to hear a tap. You may hear it, but you'll feel it. Is it coming through?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do this 3 times. So I can tell you all got it because I can feel the pulses on the forks.
Wow.
That's so cool.
That
Oh,
is,
anybody get anything?
yeah.
Yeah.
It went throat. It went to my throat first. The second one I felt in the third eye.
Okay.
Like it was, but in a
Cool.
beautiful way. It was almost like a opening. And then the third resonated just way. It felt multidimensional, like really super deep.
Interesting. Tracy, what'd you get?
I take all of it. Like I just let it run through my entire system. And then just every time let it even more. I just opened myself up all the way. I could feel it.
Cool.
And the reverberation gets a little more, I don't want to say stronger. It gets more in depth, more integrative. Yeah.
Nice. What does that feel like? More of you are more of you here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like to
Okay.
do, I'm impatient and I like to go. So let that out as this comes in. Let that out as this comes in. Let
Well,
that
what's so
out.
cool about you is you can articulate all this stuff. You know, it's like me, I just go, yeah, I feel stuff, but you can like, nail it,
Yeah.
articulate. It's beautiful. You have a way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. I felt
Okay.
that in my feet, like in the bottoms of my feet, and there's those beautiful energy centers there, but I felt it in my feet. And then it was like these shooting things going up my body. And then I was watching things, I don't even know what they were, but things like sort of like deconstruct. And then all of a sudden it was like something was mending itself back together, like things were like stitching together. And then, then they would just go up my body and do that. Then when you did that second one, it was, I felt like I was like pushed back, like, okay, here, you step back. This piece is coming forward now. Like, I felt really like it was more the humanness, the human aspect of the human mind, like saying, okay, go back. And then it just sort of like I got really cloudy. I got really cloudy in my head. And then on that third one, it was like you felt that exactly what Tracy said. It was so deep and it was like resonating like every aspect. And it was like I just came back together as this whole
Dang.
body of light. Like it was so
See?
like, and I just keep getting chills and chills and chills.
So this is my learning process right here. This is how I know what works and what doesn't work. That's how I know. So now we're going to do another thing. So
Okay.
I'll play a bowl and the tuning fork at the same time.
Okay.
We set up here.
It'd be interesting to see what the listeners feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Can't wait to see those comments.
Oh, okay. Think.
Okay.
So I want you to each think of something you want as an intention. So something that you want in your life that you don't have, and if it's don't make it like money, don't make it a thing. Okay, like money. You want a new house or a car or whatever. If it's financial, if or a situation that you want in your life that you don't have, or something you want to get rid of that you already have that you're done with. Okay. And that can also be a state of being. We'll do this 3 times. Okay.
Wow.
That was wild. And I have to say, my dog, who was sitting on the chair at one point, just jumped down, kept pawing at me, kept pawing at me. So when I looked down at her, you could see these like rings going through her. She's always got problems with her hips. And it was
Okay.
like this whole thing going through her hips and like going up her spine. And then I had to hold her, which now she's just resting on the desk. But I can see this vibration going through her, in addition to, when I was paying attention to me, but the vibration, the frequency, and I felt like I was moving through dimensions, and there was this information coming in that is still integrating, and things were being released as well. And then I have like this euphoria, like it's just like I want to just like laugh and be real giddy now.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. How'd you ladies feel?
Yeah, for the first tone, I felt like they were showing me the dimension I was going to, and then I was gone, like taking off, like this is like connecting with it. And then it was, now you're in it. Now you're in it. This is where you're vibrating with us. And I could still, I mean, I feel like my energy is expanded like way out of the roof of my building right now. Like really cool.
Cool.
I can still feel it, like, but full body felt it. Full body absolutely felt connecting with a different multidimensional self for sure. And being shown it first, which was cool. And then things that were in the way, or if there was, didn't feel like there was a lot of resistance, but could feel things like Renee said. I had the essence of something leaving. Yeah, thank you. That was like
Well,
magical.
Moore's coming in for you. So she's going to give you information.
Nice.
I mean, it's you, it's you in another dimension, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right
Nice.
on.
Tracy, what'd you get?
So I tend to just feel and
Yeah.
just allow and not try and put words of what's happening. But I was like, okay, I want to be able to explain what I'm sensing. And what I got was the bulls opened me up. And the way I can explain it, let's say me, human being, became into pixels. So I'm a gazillion trixels. So, pixel, if you
Yeah.
pixelate.
Oh, I love the Trixel. Now, I
Yeah.
love that word better. Yeah. Yeah, because
Okay.
that's what it is. Because there's a zillion of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm unlimited little dots, right? So now there's so much square footage and space. So now the tuning forks come in. And do you see now? Wow. Now we've got all of this room and availability to really clear and bring it in. And then what's cool is the one thing, my intention, all of a sudden everything unhinged. So yeah, that intention comes in, but now it was like a domino of all these other intentions, because now there's all this space and availability. Can you
Cool.
tell? I'm like, holy shit, what just happened? You?
This
It
is
blew us
great.
up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Now,
that.
now you know why I sound snooty when it comes to these bowls. And I know I'm snooty. I know I am. You know?
Listen, bring on the snoot. Like this is absolutely the best blow up session we've ever had. It's
Well,
expansive.
but
It's
the blow up, see,
beautiful.
that denotes like it's going to be painful. My
Oh yeah, no,
arms and legs are going to blow off my body.
No,
It's not like that.
no,
It's
yeah.
I love how Tracy described it, because that's how I've seen it. It's like you go into these zillions of particles, trillions of particles, and it just creates more space. And then the crap that's not you just poof, gone, dissolves, poof, no pain, no processing, just poof. It's not there anymore, as if it never were. And
Yes.
that's why what I call real healing. Real deal healing is as if it never were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't manage your crap,
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I love that. I was given the analogy, I kind of see what's available or coming in. And I was given the thing of, let's say, you had a disease or cancer or something. down to the fact that if someone said that word to you, you would have no reference. Like, I don't even know what you're talking
Right.
about.
Like, huh?
That's
Right. Yeah. Right on. You got it, honey. You got it. That's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah. It's a blank slate.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But it's like, okay, so what do you want it to be?
Yes,
Now what?
exactly. And now you get to create,
Right.
create,
Because
play, and have
because
fun.
when you move to the blueprint, our creator gave us everything and then more.
Yeah.
It's like infinite possibilities. So we are a full tilt creator,
Yep.
because we were designed in the image of our creator, right? And we have all the same capacities.
Yep.
But the problem comes in when we try to own it or make it an identity, and then it goes away like that. So that's why it's always, that's why I like to stay humble. It's never about me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm just a conduit for the creator to roll through. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
I love how you just say, this is who I am, this is what I do, take it or leave it. Like, I really do. Like, that's so
Well, it's easier
amazing.
that way. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try to brown nose somebody to get him to do my gig. Forget it.
Mm-mm.
There's a lot of people out there doing everything else. I mean, I have been fortunate enough to see, I've got a group of peeps that I work with, right? All bowlers. We have a relationship. I mean, this is, believe it or not, this is like a relationship, okay? When
Yeah.
I hear this, I can like feel this thing and I'm just like, oh man. It does stuff to me. And this bowl is like the creme de la creme. It is the best of the best. So beautiful. This is so old, and so used and so worked with. I mean, it's and clear. Listen to that sound.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me seven years to find the brother of another mother in Nepal that
Wow.
deals with these bulls, and I spent a lot of time with him. I was there in Nepal with he and his family, um, and his wife when the earthquake happened. I mean, I saw devastation like I'd never seen before. You go down, and the epicenter was 2 blocks away. You go down the street, and half of an apartment building is just gone. All people's stuff on each floor is hanging out the side of it. I mean, it was bad, you know. And but he picks me the best stuff. I mean, I'm so fortunate to know him. I
Cool.
mean, it is such a joy. But so I have these peeps, and we're all bowlers. We get together. I waited 13 years to have that group of people, and I'm
Wow.
I'm always adding to them, and we're all committed, to the same thing. And so, the microcosm is are the body, right? Our consciousness. The macrocosm is we do stuff on the planet,
Mhm.
and we have made some serious changes on the planet with bowls and in group
Absolutely.
settings. It's pretty dang impressive, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
you
I
know.
love that.
And so I we get together once a year. I call it Peep Week, and it's the second week in July, and that's what's coming up. So
Beautiful.
we're all pretty excited. And the last time we got together last year, we were all high 10 days afterwards. We're just walking into walls. It was just like I'm telling
I
you,
can imagine.
it was
Right?
something, man. It's
Yeah.
like wow.
Wow. Well, Bill, we could talk to you for hours,
Oh, believe
and
me, I can talk for
this
days.
is, but
I don't
thank
need
you.
notes. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing those beautiful treats for us and our
You're welcome.
listeners. And we will be putting in the description of this episode. We will put information in on how you can contact Bill because
Okay, great. Mhm.
wow, if this resonates with you, how can it not? And we know that there are many in our community that have a curiosity and interest in, and some that actually are practitioners too in the sound healing modality. So this is just really a big treat for us personally and for our